Stop oversharing. Control your tongue. Grow in silence. Ever noticed how talking too much can backfire? Impulsive comments, empty promises, unnecessary opinions. All of that can chip away at your credibility and push away opportunities. If you truly want to grow, you need to learn to keep quiet at the right time. The Stoics knew this over 2,000 years ago. Seneca warned, "He who talks much cannot have complete control over himself." And Epictetus echoed that wisdom. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we may listen more and speak less. In this video, you'll discover how silence can be a powerful tool for your personal and professional growth. I'll show you in 7 lessons Stoic strategies to better control what you say, avoid unnecessary conflicts, and earn more respect. Stick around till the end, because the last lesson might completely change the way you communicate and position yourself in the world. Before we jump in, if you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on content that helps you live a more fulfilling life. Let's dive into a short story to help you better understand the wisdom we're about to explore. There was a young man named Daniel. Ambitious and sharp, he believed he needed to stand out, to talk about his plans, impress others, and make sure he was noticed at all costs. He always told his friends that soon he'd start his own business, that one day he'd be rich, that he'd live a successful life. He'd go on and on about every detail, every idea, every strategy. But oddly enough, his plans never left the drawing board. One day, an old mentor named Augustus watched him and asked an unexpected question. "Daniel, why do you feel such a strong need to talk about things you haven't done yet?" Confused, Daniel hesitated before answering. The old wise man smiled and quoted Seneca, "He who talks much cannot have complete control over himself." Daniel went silent for a moment, then defended himself. He said talking about his plans motivated him, that he liked the feeling of sharing his ambitions with others. But Augustus, knowing human nature all too well, just shook his head. He told Daniel a story. He once knew a man who would tell everyone he was going to write a great book. He talked about it at meetings, dinners, and even casual hangouts. Yet the more he talked about his masterpiece, the less inclined he was to actually write it. The problem, Augustus explained, was that talking gave him a false sense of accomplishment, as if by saying he'd do it, he had already done it. The old mentor then quoted Marcus Aurelius, "Practice speaking little, or let your words be necessary and sincere." That's when Daniel started to get it. He realized that talking too much drained his energy. Every time he mentioned his plans, something inside him wore out. So he decided to change. In the months that followed, Daniel talked less and did more. He noticed that when he stopped sharing everything with everyone, his focus sharpened. He avoided empty promises, stopped feeling the need to impress. He just worked. Seeing this change, Augustus smiled again and quoted Epictetus, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we may listen more and speak less." Daniel finally understood the lesson. Silence, after all, was a tool of power. And so without making noise, without needing to prove anything to anyone, he finally turned his plans into reality. Because true growth happens in silence. Now let's dive into the 7 lessons that will help you grow in silence. First lesson, speak less than you think. Not everything that crosses your mind needs to be said. In fact, speaking less than you think can be one of the most powerful habits to avoid conflicts, conserve your energy, and strengthen your image. But how do you put this into practice? The Stoics already knew that impulsive words could lead to regret. Seneca warned, "We often regret what we said, but rarely what we chose not to say." Master the art of pausing before you speak. How? Many times have you regretted saying something in the heat of the moment? Speaking without thinking can spark arguments, create misunderstandings, and even damage your reputation. Before responding to anything, whether in a casual chat, at work, or in an argument, build the habit of pausing for a few seconds. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, does this need to be said? Will this add anything positive? If the answer is no, it's better to stay quiet. Don't reveal your plans too soon. A lot of people feel the need to share their goals, but talking about your ambitions before achieving them can create a dangerous psychological trap. You feel satisfied just by talking, without having done anything concrete. Marcus Aurelius used to say, "Let your actions speak for you. Keep your plans to yourself until they're solid, and if you need to share, do it only with people you deeply trust and who can genuinely help you." Avoid pointless arguments. Not every conversation needs to be won. Many times trying to prove your point just leads to unnecessary emotional drain. Epictetus said, "If someone tries to convince you that something false is true, let them believe it." If you notice a debate isn't going anywhere, just step back. Don't waste your energy trying to convince someone who doesn't want to be convinced. Choose your battles wisely. Use silence as a tool of power. People who talk too much tend to lose credibility. In a negotiation, for example, the one who speaks less often has more control over the situation. If you're in a strategic conversation, like a job interview, a negotiation, or an important discussion, say only what's necessary and listen more. Silence creates impact and radiates confidence. Don't feel the need to comment on everything. We live in a time where everyone has an opinion about everything, but sharing your opinion doesn't always bring benefits. Many times, the best thing to do is simply observe. If a conversation doesn't add value to your life, or if your opinion won't bring a solution, stay out of it. You don't need to have an answer for everything. Wisdom also lies in what you choose not to say. Speaking less than you think doesn't mean being indifferent or apathetic. It means having control over your words, avoiding unnecessary stress, and positioning yourself with intelligence. Remember, speech is silver, but silence is golden. If you want to be more respected, more strategic and wiser, practice this Stoic lesson every day. Second lesson, protect your plans. Have you ever shared your plans with someone and suddenly lost the motivation to follow through? Noticed how some people can undermine your confidence, doubt your ideas, or even secretly root against you? The Stoics knew that silence is a powerful ally of progress. Marcus Aurelius taught, "Act without show, without expecting recognition. Keep your plans to yourself until they're strong enough to stand on their own." One of the biggest mistakes people make is talking about their goals before taking the first step. The problem is, when you do that, you open the door to criticism, envy, and worst of all, that premature sense of accomplishment. Before sharing a project, ask yourself, if no one knew about this, would I still be motivated to keep going? If the answer is no, maybe you're seeking validation instead of making progress. Be selective about who knows your plans. Not everyone around you wants you to succeed. Some people may seem supportive, but deep down, they feel envious or doubt your abilities. Create a personal rule. Only share your goals with those who can genuinely help you or those you deeply trust. As for everyone else, let them find out through your results. Avoid the all talk, no action trap. Talking about your plans triggers a dangerous psychological effect. Your brain starts to feel like you've already accomplished something, which kills your drive to actually do it. That's why so many people talk about their dreams, but never achieve them. Swap the habit of announcing your intentions for the habit of tracking your progress. Instead of talking, write it down. Keep a goal journal, record your milestones, but keep it to yourself. Develop the discipline of secrecy. Successful people know that keeping things under wraps is a strategy. Great leaders, entrepreneurs, and athletes don't go around broadcasting their plans to just anyone. Train yourself to hold back. Every time you feel the urge to share something important, ask, does this really need to be said right now? If not, keep it quiet. Let your results do the talking. The best way to silence doubt, envy, or criticism is by showing results. When you work in silence and deliver something concrete, no one can argue with that. Work hard and only share your wins when they're solid. Don't seek recognition before it's time. The Stoics knew that protecting your plans was a principle of wisdom and discipline. The fewer outside distractions, the more focus and strength you'll have to reach your goals. Remember Marcus Aurelius's teaching, the accomplishment is in the action, not in the display. Third lesson, listen more, talk less. Have you ever noticed that the wisest people usually speak little and observe a lot, and that those who talk too much are often not taken seriously? The Stoics taught that true wisdom lies in listening. Epictetus reminded us, We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we may listen more and speak less. Practice active listening. Most people listen just to wait for their turn to speak. This leads to shallow conversations and disconnection. Active listening is the opposite. It means genuinely paying attention to what the other person is saying. When someone is talking, make eye contact, nod occasionally and avoid interrupting. Then paraphrase what you heard to make sure you understood correctly. Use silence as a strategy. Silence can be a powerful tool in conversations. Often, when you stop talking, the other person feels the need to keep going and ends up revealing valuable information. Instead of filling every pause with words, try waiting. In meetings, interviews, or negotiations, let silence work in your favor. Ask more questions, share fewer opinions. Those who ask good questions learn more and stand out without needing to show off. Instead of jumping in with your opinion on everything, ask more questions. When someone shares something, ask, "What made you come to that conclusion?" Or, "Can you explain that a bit more?" This shows genuine interest and helps avoid unnecessary arguments. Filter what you say. Not everything that pops into your head needs to be spoken. Often, the best response is no response at all. Before you speak, ask yourself, is this necessary? Will this add value? Could this be misunderstood? If the answer is no, it's better to stay quiet. Learn from what others don't say. Communication isn't just about words. It's also about gestures, facial expressions, and tone of voice. Paying attention to these cues can reveal much more than what's actually said. In conversations, observe people's body language. Often what's left unsaid is more important than what's spoken. Listening more and talking less is a powerful skill. It helps you avoid conflicts, strengthens your relationships, and makes your words more impactful when you do need to speak up. Remember Epictetus' lesson, if you want to be wise, learn to listen. 4th lesson, master your emotions before you speak. How many times have you said something in the heat of the moment and later regretted it? Impulsive words can destroy relationships, hurt opportunities, and leave deep scars. The Stoics knew that true power isn't in saying whatever comes to mind, but in mastering your emotions before opening your mouth. Seneca warned, "Nothing is as harmful to peace of mind as uncontrolled anger." Pause and breathe before responding. Most conflicts are born from impulsive reactions. Speaking without thinking can turn a small problem into something much bigger. Whenever you feel a strong emotion rising, whether it's anger, frustration, or impatience, pause for at least 5 seconds before responding. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, does this really deserve my energy? Identify your emotional triggers. We often react without even realizing what truly bothers us. If you understand what triggers your emotions, you'll be able to control them better. Next time you feel the urge to respond impulsively, stop and reflect. What exactly is bothering me? Is this about the situation or something I've been carrying inside me? Write it down instead of speaking. Writing is a powerful way to process emotions without immediate consequences. If you feel the need to vent or respond aggressively, try putting your thoughts on paper before saying them out loud. When you're upset, write out everything you'd like to say, but don't send it. Wait a few hours and read it again. You'll often realize that some things just aren't worth saying. Adopt the time perspective. What seems big today might feel insignificant tomorrow. Avoiding impulsive reactions can help you prevent unnecessary problems. Whenever you feel the urge to say something in the heat of the moment, ask yourself, will this still matter a day from now? What about a year from now? If the answer is no, it's probably not worth saying while emotional. Practice silence. As a response, not everything deserves an immediate reaction. Sometimes the best way to avoid conflict is simply not to respond at all. When someone tries to provoke you, or when you feel like saying something you'll regret, try staying silent. You'll notice that often, saying nothing speaks louder than impulsive words. Mastering your emotions before you speak doesn't mean suppressing your feelings. It means expressing them intelligently. Stoicism teaches that words spoken with control have far more impact than those said without thinking. Remember Marcus Aurelius' lesson, you have power over your mind, not external events. Realize this and you will find strength. Fifth lesson. Be careful who you share your weaknesses with. Have you ever trusted someone, shared your insecurities, and later regretted it? Noticed how people who seem like friends can sometimes use your weaknesses against you? The Stoics knew that not everyone around us deserves to know our vulnerabilities. Seneca warned, "He who reveals too much about himself arms his enemies." Don't mistake friendliness for trust. Sometimes someone seems trustworthy just because they're friendly and attentive, but that doesn't mean they're loyal or have good intentions. Before sharing anything personal, ask yourself, has this person proven to be trustworthy over time, or am I trusting them just because they were nice to me? Trust should be earned, not given freely. Test before you trust. The Stoics taught that trust should be given in small doses. Before sharing something important, see how the person handles smaller pieces of information. Share something insignificant as a test. If that info spreads, you'll know they can't be trusted. If they keep it to themselves, it might be a sign they deserve more trust. Keep your biggest weaknesses to yourself. Even your most loyal friends don't need to know everything. Some vulnerabilities are yours alone and should be worked through internally. When you feel like venting, ask yourself, do I really need to share this, or can I handle it on my own? Many insecurities can be overcome without exposing them to others. Watch how people talk about others. Someone who talks badly about others to you will likely talk badly about you to others. If a person often shares other people's business, understand that they might do the same with yours. Avoid sharing any weakness with someone who behaves this way. Use silence as protection. Silence is a powerful way to protect yourself. The less people know about your fears and weaknesses, the less vulnerable you'll be. Before sharing something personal, ask yourself, if this information got out, could it hurt me? If the answer is yes, it's better to stay quiet. Choosing who to share your weaknesses with is an act of intelligence and self-defense. It's not about being cold or distrustful. It's about understanding that not everyone deserves access to your most intimate self. Remember Marcus Aurelius' teaching. Think long before trusting someone, but once trust is given, trust fully or not at all. Sixth lesson. Use silence as a tool of power. Ever noticed how some people command respect without saying much? Have you seen how leaders, negotiators, and even those who simply want to project confidence use silence strategically? The Stoics knew that silence could be a tool of power. Marcus Aurelius said, "Think before you speak. Often silence is the best response." Silence to avoid unnecessary conflicts. Many arguments are fueled by impulsiveness. Responding in the heat of the moment can turn a small disagreement into a big problem. If someone tries to provoke you, or a discussion starts to heat up, try staying silent. Often, not responding at all disarms the other person and ends the argument before it escalates. The power of silence in negotiations. Good negotiators know that the person who talks less has more control. When you talk too much, you reveal your intentions, fears, and limits. In a negotiation, state your offer and stay silent. The other person might feel uncomfortable and end up giving in before you even have to say anything else. Silence to build authority and respect. People who talk too much lose credibility. Those who learn to speak only when necessary project confidence and maturity. In meetings, important conversations, or social situations, observe more and talk less. Choose your words carefully, and you'll notice people start paying more attention to what you say. Use silence to buy time and make better decisions. Impulsive responses are often the worst ones. When you stay silent, you give yourself time to think and make wiser decisions. Whenever someone asks you a tough question or pressures you for an immediate answer, pause. Take a deep breath, count to 5 and then respond. This simple habit helps you avoid mistakes and shows that you're in control of yourself. Don't over-explain. Let your actions speak for you. We often feel the need to justify ourselves, explain every detail, or convince others of something. But in most cases, the less you explain, the stronger your impact. Instead of trying to prove your worth with words, focus on taking action. Let your results speak for themselves. The less you feel the need to explain, the stronger your presence becomes. Silence is a powerful tool. It helps you avoid conflicts, strengthens your image, and gives you more control over any situation. Remember Epictetus's lesson. Be selective. With your words, for once spoken, they cannot be taken back. Seventh and final lesson. Let your achievements speak for you. Ever met someone who talks non-stop about what they're going to do, but never actually does anything? Or someone who constantly needs to brag just to seem important? The Stoics taught that the best way to earn respect and recognition isn't through words, but through action. Marcus Aurelius said, "Stop talking about what a good man should be one. Work in silence, show results." Many people talk about their goals, but few actually achieve them. The problem is that talking too much about your plans can give you a false sense of accomplishment before you've even started. Instead of telling everyone about your goals, focus on achieving them. When someone asks about your plans, just say, "I'd rather show you through my results." Avoid self-promotion. Actions speak louder than words. Those who truly have value don't need to constantly say it. People who talk too much about themselves often come across as insecure. Whenever you feel the urge to show off or prove something to someone, ask yourself, do I need to say this, or can I show it through my actions? Let others notice on their own. Take criticism without always needing to defend yourself. Confident people don't feel the need to justify themselves all the time. Often, the best response to criticism is simply to keep doing your work. If someone questions your skills or worth, don't fight back with words. Respond with results. Success is the best answer. Resist the urge to post everything you do. We live in an age where everyone wants to show off their achievements all the time. But the Stoics taught that true satisfaction comes from within, not from external validation. Before posting something about your life or your projects, ask yourself, am I doing this because I really want to, or just to impress others? Not everything needs to be shared. When someone underestimates you, don't talk, show them. If someone doubts you, arguing or trying to convince them won't help. The best way to silence any doubt is by delivering results. Instead of proving your worth with words, focus on improving yourself. Surprise people with what you do, not what you say you can do. Letting your achievements speak for you is a sign of maturity, self-confidence, and strength. The less you need to prove yourself with words, the more powerful your actions become. Remember Seneca's teaching. Words are fleeting, but actions build legacies. If you've made it this far, congratulations. It shows that you're truly committed to growing, seeking wisdom, and applying Stoicism to improve your life. Few people have the discipline to learn, and more importantly, to put that knowledge into practice. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these lessons resonated with you the most? Which one will you start applying today? Drop a comment below. And if you're not sure what to say, just write gratitude so I know you watched until the end and that we're on this growth journey together. If this video helped you in any way, don't forget to like it and share it with someone who needs to hear this message too. See you in the next video.